This is part 3 of a 6-part series on how to build the Satsuma AMP in my summer car. If you want to see the full playlist or you missed the first 2 parts, click on the top right corner of your screen for the full playlist. Welcome back to part 3 now of the Satsuma building guide in my summer car. My name is Panzafara and I hope you followed my advice so far. And I also now assume that you bought at least 1 or 2 wrecked cars to Fletari, which I hope, otherwise you're gonna have a little bit of a money problem. If you didn't, do that now. I have, as I showed you in the previous video, teleported all the wrecked cars to my house and then just brought them to Fletari myself. It just saves a little bit of time for me. Again, it's gonna take more time for you to do that, but it pays off. So, looking at my money count, 9,152 marka. I can tell you, that's because I started off with 105 marks, brought the cars to Fletari, 10,900 marks. Then I got the call from Temo, oh boy, your stuff is there. That's 968 marks down. Then 390 marks for the coolant, 495 marks for the battery. And there we go. We're at 9,152 marks. And now we have everything we need to get the car built. So the first thing you want to do is take the floor jack, put it on the front of the car, and just jack the car up. The first thing you want to build of the car is the front half. And for that you need to jack it up, because there are some parts that you need to put on the car that you can't do if the car is on the ground. So just jack that up, put the floor jack underneath the car, and left click to jack it up. There you go, that should be good. And then you want to take the ratchet set, which I hope you have. Open it up, put it next to your car. So, the way it works is the same with the spanner set. Press the 2 key on your keyboard to go into tool mode, and then grab whatever you need. The ratchet, the spark plug socket, some other sockets, whatever you need. So, that's just it. We will mostly have 10mm sockets to work with, so that's that. Anyway, the first thing you want to install definitely is the subframe of the car. So, you just take this like that, put it there, and then you mount it. Hoppala. Hold on. Oh, hold on. So the first thing you want to do to assemble the chassis is, of course, put on the subframe. That goes on with 4 10mm sockets. The good part about the ratchet set is, for example, with the normal spanners, you have to scroll up. It's a slow start. It's a slow thing. Scroll up to bolt it in, scroll down to bolt it out. With the ratchet set, you can just go, there you go, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. That's because you can change the direction of how it operates with the F key. If it looks to the right, you bolt it in. If it looks to the left, you bolt it out. Easy as that. Again, the 4 bolts for the subframe are found on each corner of the subframe. Pretty easy to see, pretty easy to distinguish, because of course also the bolts, if you have the right socket equipped and you hover over the bolts will appear green. So, anyway, next we will have the steering rack. Oops, wrong key. The steering rack is all the way over here, and that mounts to the back end of the subframe. Somewhere here, wait a second. There you go, that's where it goes on, and you put that on with 9mm socket. So, there's also 4 bolts, one of them here, one of them on the other side, and the same story goes with the other side of the steering rack. That thing gotta be tight, otherwise you can't steer. Come on. Next thing you want to do is, since you're already here, take the 8mm socket, go back into normal grabbing mode, and install the steering column. So, obviously the steering column is what connects your car, the steering wheel to the steering rack. It goes here into that hole. But fortunately, the only 2 bolts you have to fix are those 2 here on the bottom. There you go, easy frickin' peasy. Next, take again the 10mm sockets, take go back to the garage and pick up the wishbones. Those are the front wishbones. This is the front right one. It goes onto this part here. And the two bolts are obviously here. Just, there you go, bolt them in real quick. Do the same thing with the left front wishbone. And there you go. Next thing is take the 12mm socket, go back into normal mode, take the spindles. There they are. That's the front left spindle. Basically the spindles house the brake calipers, stuff like that. There is one single bolt. You can see it on the bottom there. Again, that's a 12mm bolt. You do not need any more bolts for that. Do the same for the right front spindle. So, next thing is the steering rods. So, again, they are specialized for their size. So this is the right front steering rod, which you will place around about here so that it goes onto the steering rack. And then just take the other one, don't tighten the bolt. And there's a simple reason for that. You have to install the struts first, the suspension, the main elements of the suspension basically, before you can tighten them, because they share a bolt. There, right there goes the bolt from the steering rod, and if that one's tightened, you can't install the strut before that. So you know that. Anyway, now, and that part, that's the disc brakes, obviously to slow the car down. They are fixed with one 14mm bolt. However, I recommend you do not tighten them either, because there go the half shafts. They go here as well, so they share a bolt, and we are only gonna install the half shafts as soon as when we install the engine, and that is, well, part 4 basically, or no, part 5 I would actually say, getting the car to run. Next are the struts. Install the struts, just put them in there. Front left, front right. Also don't mind the crashing sounds, that's just the Unity engine. Now where is it? Where do you go? Where do you go? Somewhere here. There you go. So, the struts have a single 12mm on the bottom, obviously, as we already discussed, for the steering rod. There you go, that's how they connect. They have four 9mm bolts on the back, which you can see here. And three 10mm bolts that are on top of the strut itself, that basically connect the whole suspension to the chassis, otherwise it just won't work, you know. So, now we're done with this part. We can now let down the car jack. Again, don't mind this crashing noise. And just turn the car jack, floor jack, sorry, my bad. And put it on the rear, because we're gotta assemble the rear suspension next. The good part is, it's very easy to do that. Oh, hold on. That just clipped through there. So, let's just jack this thing up high in the air. There you go. So, the first thing we want to install now are the trailing arms. It's a trailing arm rear suspension. So it is independent suspension all around, just for the little car nerds like me. And you take it like that, and you mount it like here. And the trailing arms go on with 12mm sockets, just like the steering rods. There's two of them. You can see one of them by obviously the bolt sticking out, and the other one you can locate by the nut on the other side. The next parts will not have to be tightened with any sort of bolts or nuts, that's just the coil springs. They obviously go on top of the trail arms, between the trailing arms and the main body. There you go, just put them there and they will actually stay there, which is quite nice. So, the next parts are the shock absorbers. They will have to go, obviously, also on the rear suspension. And, well, they're independent of where you put them. So you can put one on the left side, one on the right side, whatever. So, just put them somewhere here. There you go, there you mount them. The other one, of course, goes on the other side of the car. There you go. And since we already have a 12mm socket in the inventory, hold on, let me just... There you go. We can already get into the car and mount the 12mm. There it is. And it's also on the other side. I just gotta friggin' get to it, come on. There you go. And then there's still two 6mm bolts. That's the second smallest, second to the left. There you go. And you just have to install it like that. There's one bolt. The other one is of course on the other side of the shock absorber. Alright, there you go. With that done, you can now install the drum brakes on the rear. So they just go onto the trailing arms. There's not really a lot of special stuff here. There you go, just like that. And they get fixated with 14mm bolts. So just put it on there. I can see the car is slightly off. There you go. So where's the 14mm? That's the second largest socket size. Just bolt it in and you're good to go. So technically the rear suspension is now finished, and what that means is you can mount the wheels actually. So just to take some load off the rear, just take your 13mm socket, pick two of the wheels you got, put one on the left rear and one on the right rear. Come on, I can do that. There you go. Take the other one, put it on the right rear. By the way, look at those tires. They're never gonna make it through inspection. We'll come to that later. And just one bolt. There's 4 bolts on each wheel. Just put them on for now. It's gonna be fine. So that takes some load off of the car, basically, off the car floor jack, basically. So now that's that. Technically, technically, we can already install the half shafts. However, we have to wait until the engine is in the car, until the engine is built first of all, and then in the car for the half shafts to be mounted properly. So one half shaft goes here, one half shaft goes somewhere else, and there you go. Again, they get mounted with 14mm sockets. So again, take the second to largest socket and just tighten the bolt. There you go. Oops, my bad. Tighten this socket, and you're good. Now we can also just mount the front tires, which is a very little nice change of pace. So we're already doing pretty well. I hope you've been able to follow me on this one so far. There we go. Because now we're getting pretty far. As I said, the next thing... there you go. Next thing you want to do is just install a little safety feature as soon as I'm done with the tires. And that be the handbrake. You can imagine why you want to install the handbrake. It prevents your car from rolling away when it's supposed to be stationary, obviously. So just do that, install the wheels, tires. You can now safely take the floor jack, put it down. For now, you won't have to use the floor jack ever again. Well, again, as I said, for now. So, the handbrake. That's a fun little thing. You can find the handbrake somewhere down here. There it is. It's getting a little dark, so we've got to take care of that as well. The handbrake consists of 4 8mm bolts and 1 5mm bolt. So, just mount the handbrake here. There you go. But the first thing you want to do is take the 5mm bolt and mount it and just tighten it. For that you need a little bit of a... There you go, something like that. And now the question is, where is that goddamn bolt? It's somewhere underneath the car. Yeah, I would need a floor jack for that usually, but hold on, it is somewhere here, I can tell. You can see where the two lines, there it is. Haha, I got it. I just found it. There it is. See it right there. That bolt basically tightens the handbrake. You would usually kind of want to do that with a floor jack. Just get the car up one side, and then you can see it easily. I just kind of screwed it up. Anyway, no harm done, I hope. Next thing you can do is finally bolt down the 8mm stuff. 1, 2, 3, 4. And now, when you're done, you can just pull on the handbrake, and there you go. So, this has been part 3 of building the car. Basically just the chassis. There you go, the car. Technically, we can plump the engine in, wire it up, yada yada yada, and it will be done. However, it's not that easy. We want to get that car through inspection after all. So, next part is building the engine. The 1.0 liter overhead valve, yada yada yada, 45 horsepower Satsuma AMP engine. So, I hope you liked this one. If you did, like, comment, and subscribe. If you didn't like it, you can press the dislike button and tell me what I can do better. I know I kind of goofed it here in this one, but the point still came across. So again, thank you very much for watching. When I'm live on Twitch, you may also catch me on Twitch at twitch.tv/thepanzerfahrer. So yeah, hope you liked it. See you in the next one.